The perfect murder has only two types. The first kind is when no one realizes it's a murder. The second kind is when no one notices the victim's death. My current situation falls into the first category. Even if Emily died now, no one would suspect me. Hey everyone. Wishing you all a happy and joyful new year. As usual, tag your wildest friend to watch this with you. Author, Guangling Lant. Alright. The story begins. What do you mean? Mortgage the house? Didn't Dad just lend you $200,000 last month? Now you need more money? My wife, Emily's words boomed in my ears. My name is Leo. And I'm the founder of an AI application company called Purity AI. The company was developing well. But then Sora 1 came out. And we were surpassed. Fortunately, my research direction was sound. With just one more investment and a slight algorithm adjustment, we could still overtake them. However, I couldn't convince investors to provide additional funding. Left with no other option, I thought I could temporarily cover the funding gap by mortgaging our house. The house deed was with my wife, Emily. So I needed her consent. But after I only said a few sentences, Emily exploded, explicitly refusing. I tried to explain to her. Please. We're researching artificial intelligence. $200,000 isn't enough. Besides, your parents have at least several $1,000,000 in assets. Lending $200,000 is just a formality. It's not truly helping. Are you saying my parents were wrong to lend you money? Emily shot back. Other people start businesses to make money. Your business is a bottomless pit. My parents' assets were earned through a lifetime of hard work. Why should they support you unconditionally? I'm very grateful your parents lent me money. I tried my best to explain. But that little bit of money is just a drop in the bucket. I'm not asking for their help now. I only need $10 million. Can't I even mortgage my own house? What do you mean? Your own house? Emily scoffed. Our family paid the majority of the down payment. If you insist on clinging to your company, fine. But the house belongs to both of us. Don't even think about mortgaging it. With that, Emily slammed the bedroom door shut. Our recent financial crisis meant we argued frequently. Both of us short-tempered. Since Emily wouldn't give me the house deed, I decided I'd have to steal it. But the next day, after searching everywhere in the house, I despondently realized the house deed was gone. Emily and I were college sweethearts. I was a computer science graduate student, and she was an art history undergraduate. My roommate was dating her best friend. So naturally, we met through them. I felt indifferent towards her. But Emily seemed quite fond of me. She was a gentle, calm person who disliked intense situations or excessive excitement. While I didn't have strong feelings for Emily, she was beautiful, sweet-natured, and friendly towards me. Plus, I had never really been in love with anyone. So we naturally fell into a relationship. After graduation, I joined an internet company, and Emily became a teacher at a tutoring center. We continued our relationship out of habit. And then, also out of habit, we got married. Our relationship wasn't overly sweet, but we were both content. Our first major disagreement arose when we discussed marriage. It wasn't so much a disagreement as it was her parents' disapproval of me. Emily was a typical only child from a wealthy family in the Northeast. whose parents ran a small leather goods factory back home. As their only child, Emily's parents bought her a small two-bedroom apartment in New York for over $300,000 right after she graduated so she could live comfortably. My family, however, was of ordinary means. I had no economic advantage besides a slightly higher annual salary from working at a big tech company. Her parents had hoped she would marry someone from a similar background. But Emily was smitten with me. So her mother, my future mother-in-law, proposed that they would fully pay for the wedding house, with the deed solely in Emily's name. And any future children would take the mother's surname. I refused. Not because I was old-fashioned or stubborn, but because I didn't see the necessity. A child taking the father's surname was merely a custom. I didn't think a child couldn't take the mother's surname. I just felt it was unnecessary to go against this common custom just to marry Emily. Even without marrying Emily, I could still establish myself in New York. It would just take a little longer. I was just looking for someone to marry. I wasn't trying to marry up. Nor was I willing to be put down. Perhaps it's also true that I wasn't that deeply in love with Emily. Ultimately, due to Emily's insistence, her parents conceded. For the $1 million wedding house, the down payment was $480,000, Emily's parents paid $300,000, and I paid $180,000. The deed would be in both our names, and I would be responsible for the mortgage. We married relatively early and hadn't had children in 3 years. Emily said she wanted to enjoy life first, and I was busy with my career. We never thought this was a big issue before. But now, it became a reason and an opportunity for me to kill Emily. Had we had children? I would never have conceived of such a thought. Because then, Emily would not only be my wife but also the mother of my child. Through our child, we would truly be connected as a single entity, bound by blood. But now, we had no children, no common goals, and no deeply ingrained, inseparable love. We were merely ordinary life partners. What's so irreplaceable about a partner? In comparison, the company was my life. I was a tech fanatic. No one could understand the importance of this company to me. My initial intention for founding this tech company wasn't to make money or achieve worldly success. It was simply because I firmly believed in my vision. As if called by a mission, I knew where the breakthrough point in AI technology lay. And I just wanted to do something right for it. Now, if I could just get another $10 million in follow-up investment, I could get the company back on track. How could I? Because of this setback, watch myself miss the opportunity to create a groundbreaking product like ChatGPT. But Emily didn't understand any of this. After marriage, Emily naturally became a full-time homemaker. Every day was filled with fitness, yoga, baking, and flower arranging. Since I supported her, and her parents gave her pocket money, she probably didn't need to worry about anything. Gradually, we had fewer and fewer common topics. In my eyes, Emily was so ordinary. Her thoughts, insights, and tastes lacked any intriguing depth. And Emily, while meticulously managing my daily life, was utterly indifferent to my interests and ideas. She cared nothing about whether the company would survive or what impact my achievements would have on the world. She just wanted to live a stable, peaceful, and carefree life. But that was her wish, not mine. Since Emily wouldn't mortgage the house, I had no choice but to eliminate her. I had calculated that the mortgage on this wedding house was almost paid off. After deducting the $300,000 her parents contributed to the down payment, plus her premarital two-bedroom apartment, I could inherit roughly $6 or $7 million. Moreover, we had both purchased large life insurance policies, each worth $300,000. If Emily died, I would receive at least $1 million. I didn't know what would happen afterward, but at least I could keep the company afloat for now. Honey, I suddenly feel like eating pufferfish. If you have time today, can you buy some? 10 days later. One morning, after breakfast, I casually asked as I was getting dressed. Why pufferfish? Emily asked, still sleepy and brushing her teeth, looking surprised. Maybe I heard someone at the company mention it yesterday. Never mind if it's too much trouble. I picked up my briefcase, ready to leave. All right. It might be hard to find now. I'll check the supermarket. Okay. Text me if you find it. Don't forget to eat your breakfast. I left as usual. Everything was going smoothly. Emily didn't know that I had already bought 10 milligrams of tetrodotoxin from the dark web and injected it into her favorite truffle chocolates. Emily loved chocolate and would eat one every day with her afternoon tea. I injected the tetrodotoxin into one chocolate and then hid the poison chocolate. Today, the box finally contained only the last chocolate. I took out the last chocolate and replaced it with the poisoned one. As long as Emily bought pufferfish today, I could use the excuse that the pufferfish was poisonous and dispose of her without anyone knowing. The dark web transaction was untraceable, and I had left a fake address for the seller. No one would suspect me. I wouldn't leave any traces. I got the pufferfish. Do you want it clear soup or braised? At noon. With a chime from my phone, Emily sent me a photo of the pufferfish she had bought. The pufferfish was small, already cleaned, and its flesh looked very tender. Either way is fine, dear. Whatever my lovely wife makes is always delicious. You go ahead and cook. I'll try to get back early this afternoon. I put down my phone and silently chuckled to myself. I immediately called Mark. Mark, I've thought about it again. The fundraising is too important. I'll go with you. Mark was my CTO. I had specifically arranged for him to meet with the angel investor today, keeping track of the chocolate count. Great. If you come, we'll have a better chance of securing the investment. Mark was delighted and excitedly went to make arrangements. He didn't know that he was also part of my plan. He would provide me with an alibi. My plan was perfect. First, I'd subtly prompt Emily to buy pufferfish. Then, I'd make an excuse to come home early, encouraging her to cook dinner sooner, preventing the poison from taking effect before she finished. Meanwhile, Mark and I would go on a business trip to Seattle, leaving Emily to eat dinner alone, creating the illusion that she died from pufferfish poisoning. When all was said and done, everything would be silent. No one would know what truly happened. 2 hours later, Mark and I successfully arrived in Seattle and met with the investor representative as planned. We presented our business plan and spoke sincerely. But the investor's reaction was one of helpless indifference. After the investor left, Mark was very disappointed. But all of this was within my expectations. I patted Mark's shoulder in comfort. As dinner time approached, I called Emily. If we could secure the investment, that would be a pleasant surprise. But right now, Emily was my priority. Oh. Honey. What terrible luck. I suddenly have to go on an impromptu business trip. I'm in Seattle right now. I probably won't be back tonight. On the other end of the phone, Emily's surprise and a hint of disappointment were palpable. I'm so sorry. I made you busy for nothing. You go ahead and eat dinner yourself tonight. I'll make it up to you when I get back. Okay? It's hard to say about tomorrow. You don't have to wait for me. I probably won't be back tomorrow either. After I hung up, I received a photo from Emily on WhatsApp. The dining table was set with several exquisite small dishes, centered around a plate of braised pufferfish. Next to it was a small chiffon cake Emily had baked herself. Mark leaned over, and I showed him the photo. I'd been so overwhelmed these past few days. I completely forgot I was supposed to be home for dinner. I said, "Wow. So luxurious. Leo. You're so lucky." Mark, who wasn't married, looked envious. Was I lucky? Emily had taken meticulous care of my daily needs, and I was grateful that she had kept the house in perfect order during my years of entrepreneurship, leaving me free of worries. But this wasn't what I wanted. I was a person who chased after light, destined not to be bogged down by daily trivialities and mediocrity. Emily, however, was a different species from me. To prevent me from mortgaging the house, Emily had hidden the deed. I didn't know if I could truly call myself happy. With complicated feelings, I sent Emily a heart emoji, expressing my guilt and gratitude for the meal. Mark and I had a casual dinner together, then contacted several venture capital firms we had previously met, scheduling meetings for the next day. Although I knew Emily was destined to die, the matter was far from over. I couldn't rush back quickly. I had to wait at least 48 hours. Around 8 in the evening, Mark and I returned to the hotel. I tentatively sent Emily a message on WhatsApp. No response. My heart skipped a beat. I closed my eyes, telling myself to stay calm. Around 10 o'clock, I called Emily again. The dull ringing repeated monotonously. A minute passed. No one answered. I put down my phone, feeling relieved. It was a night of restless, troubled sleep. At 5 in the morning, before my alarm went off, I woke up on my own. Perhaps it was because I hadn't slept well last night. Waking up, I felt only a sense of frustration and unease. I splashed cold water on my face, trying to clear my head. The most critical moment had passed. I reassured myself. Emily had successfully bought the pufferfish. Emily had successfully died after cooking the pufferfish. I just needed to calmly get through today according to my original plan. And tomorrow would reveal everything. I braced myself to cheer up. I didn't know if this was my darkest hour, but I knew that as long as I saved the company and created a great product, I could add a little bit of light to this world. A day passed. Mark and I met intensively with various investment institutions and investors. We talked spiritedly, laughed, and presented PowerPoints analyzing various data. After a day, we were parched and burning up. But the fundraising still hadn't made any progress. Mark and I were physically and mentally exhausted. Silent. We agreed to try again tomorrow morning and then parted ways early to rest in our respective rooms. To avoid suspicion later, I didn't call Emily today. Just sent a simple routine WhatsApp message. As expected, There was still no response. This was something that would absolutely never happen normally. My heart felt more at ease. A little better than in the morning. Besides that, there was a sigh that slipped silently from my heart. Another futile morning. As noon approached, Mark and I gave up on persuasion and started booking return tickets. I saw that it was about time, so I called Emily's phone. Of course, no one answered. I didn't put down my phone. Instead, I called my mother-in-law. Mom, it's Leo. I wanted to ask if Emily is with you. No. She's not there? No. No. It's nothing special. I just happened to be on a business trip these past few days and couldn't get through to Emily's phone. I thought she might be with you. Can you go over and check this afternoon? Oh. That would be great. I'm heading back today too. Then let's have dinner together tonight. After Emily and I got married, my in-laws also bought a house in a nearby neighborhood and would stay there from time to time. My mother-in-law happened to be in New York these days. Of course, this was also part of my plan. Not only did I need to create an alibi for myself, but I also couldn't be the first person to discover the crime scene. Anyway, Emily bought the fish herself. And the only evidence, the poisoned chocolate, was eaten by Emily. I was not present before, during, or after the incident. From beginning to end, I had no opportunity to touch the deceased or the food. Even if the police investigated, they wouldn't find any clues. I hung up the phone, and Mark gave me a concerned look. It's nothing. She's probably mad that I didn't come home the day before yesterday and is giving me the silent treatment, I said with a smile, flipping through the menu. Let's eat first. At least we're going back this afternoon. Mark nodded understandingly. Emily will definitely understand how amazing the product we're working on is. Would Emily understand? I had previously collected some of Emily's biometric information to create a virtual AI that closely resembled her. I named it Little Emily. I showed Little Emily to Emily, fully expecting her to be interested. Yes. At first, Emily was indeed fascinated by her virtual counterpart. But after 2 or 3 days, the novelty wore off. And Emily put Little Emily aside, refusing to interact with her. When I asked why, Emily simply said that conversations with Little Emily were too simple, monotonous, and boring. Moreover, with a real person already there, creating an identical AI was simply redundant. She would never believe that AI could be more intelligent than herself. I asked Emily to interact with Little Emily, and Emily said I was exploiting her. When I interacted with Little Emily myself, Emily accused me of neglecting her for a robot. Emily's reaction, to me, was precisely a display of a lack of curiosity and imagination. I was a futurist. As an AI engineer, Emily's ideas were simply contrary to my technological beliefs. I had originally hoped that Emily's continuous interaction with Little Emily would bring favorable effects to the development of simulated AI. But to my surprise, Emily wasn't even interested in herself. If Emily could understand, we wouldn't have reached this point today. I smiled, non-committal to Mark's words. At around 4 in the afternoon, on the high-speed train nearing New York, I predictably received a call from my mother-in-law. Leo. Where are you? Come back quickly. Something's happened to Emily. My mother-in-law's trembling sobs filled the phone. What happened? Mom. Don't rush. Take your time. Emily is gone. My mother-in-law wailed on the other end of the phone. Come quickly. I'm at General Hospital now. At 5:30 p.m. I saw Emily's body in the hospital morgue. The body was already swollen, with dark green patches distributed across it. Although I wasn't surprised by Emily's death, the sight of the actual corpse still greatly shocked me. Emily. I never imagined she would look like this. I wondered if she suffered any pain when she died. After all, I just needed her to disappear from this world, not to suffer unexpected torment. I felt a hint of guilt towards Emily. What exactly happened between you and Emily? Why did this happen to her? Outside the morgue, my mother-in-law rushed towards me, weeping. What's going on? I feigned ignorance. Emily was fine when I left the day before yesterday. Did you do something to her? How could Emily die? Just you wait. I've already called the police. You won't get away with this. I had anticipated my mother-in-law might call the police, but I didn't expect her reaction to be so extreme, accusing me directly without listening to my explanation. I had intended for Emily's death to appear as an unsuspected accident, but I didn't expect to face such a direct accusation. I didn't think my plan had a flaw. I just felt that my mother-in-law had always been prejudiced against me. But I wasn't afraid. My plan was flawless. The police arrived quickly. Through my mother-in-law's fragmented sobs, I roughly understood how Emily's body was discovered. Today, after lunch, my mother-in-law arrived at my house around 3 in the afternoon. She knocked but received no answer, and couldn't reach Emily by phone. So she called the building manager, Ms. Smith, who opened the door. Upon entering, they found Emily collapsed on the floor not far from the dining table. Already deceased. Unfinished leftover food, already decomposed, was still on the table. My mother-in-law immediately called an ambulance and had Emily transported to the hospital. Then called my father-in-law and me. The doctor's preliminary judgment was that Emily died of poisoning, with no further information. It seemed Emily died after dinner. Knowing that Emily had indeed eaten the pufferfish, I felt more confident. You're the deceased's husband. Can you briefly explain the situation leading up to this? A police officer walked up to me, notepad in hand, and began to record. Well, that afternoon, my wife cooked a table full of dishes, waiting for me to come home for dinner. But I had a business trip that day. After that night, I couldn't get in touch with my wife again. I originally thought she was just angry with me, and I never expected something like this to happen. I recounted the details of my business trip to the police and showed them my previous chat history with Emily on WhatsApp. The photos and conversations Emily sent were all there. The police officer suddenly exclaimed as he flipped through the phone. Wait. What's this? I leaned over and saw that the officer had found the photo and message about Emily buying pufferfish. Oh. That might be the pufferfish my wife bought that day, I said. Are you saying your wife ate pufferfish that day? The officer seemed to have found an important clue, his eyes suddenly lighting up. I guess so. I feigned confusion. Emily suddenly sent me this photo that day, saying she bought pufferfish and wanted to wait for me to come home and eat dinner together. Oh. The officer said, recording as he asked, his furrowed brow noticeably relaxing. Then is it possible the deceased died from pufferfish poisoning? Oh. Could that be possible? I feigned innocence. Humph. How could it be such a coincidence? My mother-in-law interjected. Unhappy. Pufferfish nowadays are farm-raised and non-toxic. How could it be so easy to poison someone? We can't be sure yet. We need to do a chemical analysis first, the recording officer told his colleague, instructing the hospital to add a tetrodotoxin test for the deceased. Officer. You can't believe his words. My mother-in-law grabbed me. He definitely did it. He's short on cash right now and wanted to mortgage the house. But my daughter disagreed. He killed my daughter. He's a murderer. I froze, wondering how my mother-in-law knew about my plan to mortgage the house. Had Emily mentioned it to her mother? Officer. My daughter put the house deed with me to prevent him from mortgaging it. He must have harbored resentment and wanted the money. So he killed my daughter. It must be like this. My mother-in-law shouted, swinging her fists at me. Do you know? Although Emily didn't want to mortgage the house, she gave me the deed, saying she wanted to borrow money from me using the house as collateral. She was helping you raise money. And yet you killed her. Are you even human? My mother-in-law's words stunned me. I never expected this. Recalling my recent argument with Emily, I had only thought she didn't support my career, never imagining she would help me borrow money from her parents. Now, knowing the truth, I actually felt a pang of sorrow. If Emily could truly help me raise the necessary funds, I wouldn't have resorted to this desperate measure. But now it was too late. Even worse. With things already like this, the person I should have been most wary of had discovered my motive. This would certainly require more effort. Is your mother-in-law telling the truth? The officer asked, looking at me suspiciously. How is that possible? I feigned an incredulous expression. I did consider mortgaging the house. But even if I couldn't, I wouldn't go as far as to kill someone. Would I? That's my wife. Besides, do you know how much money a tech company needs? The money from mortgaging the house is not enough. The police officer listened expressionlessly, not commenting. Just then, my father-in-law also arrived at the hospital. My father-in-law and mother-in-law whispered for a while, then officially reported the case to the police, requesting an investigation into Emily's death. The police asked for my opinion, and I agreed, because I believed that no matter how they investigated, the police would not find any evidence. Officer Davis reported to the precinct, requesting a forensic team and crime scene investigators to examine the house. My father-in-law and mother-in-law went to my house with Officer Davis. This was my first time home since Emily's death. The police conducted sampling and trace analysis inside the house, while my in-laws and I waited at the door. I peered into the dining room, trying to find more information about the pufferfish. There was a pool of vomit on the floor between the dining room and the living room. The dining table was a mess of dishes, and the police were collecting samples of the vomit while carefully sealing and taking away all the leftover food on the table. This might be that pufferfish, I heard Officer Davis whispering to another officer. See. Only the tail is left. It's almost all eaten. My heart pounded with joy. I had been worried that if Emily hadn't had time to eat the pufferfish, or had only eaten a little before dying, I would have had to argue that she accidentally ingested blood or internal organs during the cooking process. But to my surprise, my luck was so good that Emily had actually eaten the entire fish. Now, Not only could the logical chain that Emily died from consuming a sufficient dose of toxic pufferfish be established, but it would also be difficult to determine if the pufferfish itself was poisonous. Thinking of this, my heart thumped violently. The police officers were busy for over an hour, both inside and out, finally completing the crime scene investigation and sampling. Officer Davis then separately questioned my mother-in-law and Ms. Smith, the building manager who discovered the scene, on some relevant issues. They preliminarily concluded that there was no external entry into the scene and ruled out violent homicide. Officer Davis informed us not to leave the city before a formal conclusion was reached, so we could cooperate with subsequent investigations. And then he announced the team was wrapping up. To my surprise, my mother-in-law rushed forward and blocked Officer Davis. "What? It's over already? She killed my daughter. And you're not arresting her?" My mother-in-law grabbed me, protesting emotionally to the police. Although Officer Davis repeatedly explained the police's investigative procedures and the fact that they currently had no evidence proving my guilt, my mother-in-law remained relentless. "How can there be no evidence? She must have put the poison in the pufferfish. My daughter was poisoned to death. Isn't that obvious evidence?" My mother-in-law shrieked. I was firmly clutched by my mother-in-law's hands, feeling both humiliated and awkward, like a thief caught red-handed. I struggled to break free from her grip. "Mom, I'm also very sad about Emily's death. But please calm down first. Emily bought the pufferfish after I left. How could I have had the chance to poison the pufferfish? Then you poisoned something else," she countered. "Officers, please investigate thoroughly. Take all the food in the house away to be checked. Take it. Take it all," my mother-in-law screamed, shaking off everyone and rushing into the house, pulling out all the snacks, alcohol, tea, rice, and other food items. No one could stop her. The police had initially been trying to mediate and explain that all food samples had already been collected. However, my father-in-law also pleaded, saying that if his daughter's death remained unexplained, they, the old couple, would never find peace in this life, insisting that the police take all food for examination. Faced with the stubborn father-in-law and the hysterical, emotionally distraught mother-in-law, Officer Davis looked at me helplessly, asking for my opinion. I immediately stated without hesitation, "Take it. Take it. Emily was my wife. I also hope her cause of death can be thoroughly investigated without any doubts. If it's cleared up, it also proves my innocence." Hearing me say this, Officer Davis no longer hesitated, ordering his officers to clear out all edible items, package them one by one, and transport them. The police officers sprang into action, busily working. Amidst the hustle, a female officer, who was clearing out the refrigerator, walked over with a box and asked Officer Davis for instructions. "Sergeant Davis, there's a cake here. Should we take it? Didn't I say to take all edible things? All of them." Officer Davis was about to lose his temper, but then he glanced at the box and also froze. I leaned over to look and saw a sticky note on the cake box with a heart drawn on it and 3 words printed next to it. "For hubby." The box contained the chiffon cake Emily had baked that evening. She had sent me a photo of it. I remembered. Maybe she couldn't finish it that night, so Emily saved it for me. For a moment, something in my heart stirred. Since it's for you and hasn't been touched, Leave it. Officer Davis mumbled. Your wife wouldn't poison herself. Would she? By the way, does your wife usually enjoy baking? Yes. She often makes pastries and things like that. I led Officer Davis into the kitchen and opened the cupboard where Emily stored her baking ingredients. Inside, the cabinet was filled with matcha powder, kale powder, and an empty bag of cocoa powder. It seems your wife was a person who loved life. Officer Davis nodded. And you two seem to have a good relationship. Yes. Emily and I have always had a good relationship. It's just that my in-laws have always seemed to have a bit of a prejudice against me. I glanced at my mother-in-law, who was stubbornly moving things out at the living room entrance, feeling full of resentment. If it weren't for her constant contempt and harshness towards me, Emily and I might not be where we are today. Fearing the police would notice something, I suppressed my inner anger and dissatisfaction, only signaling to Officer Davis with my eyes. My mother-in-law helplessly pursed her lips. Officer Davis glanced at my mother-in-law, understandingly nodding. All right. We will investigate thoroughly and give you a conclusion as soon as possible. After the police left, it was past 10 at night. The house was empty and in disarray. The lingering scent of the corpse, the smell of vomit on the floor, and the fresh mixture of sweat and decaying food made my head spin, making me nauseous. I almost fled, rushing to open all the windows. As cool breezes swept in, I felt my mind gradually clear. I had considered many ways to administer the poison: capsules, coffee, yogurt, jam, drinks, medicine. But because they could leave traces or relied too much on coincidence, I had dismissed them all one by one. Only Emily's usual chocolate remained, individually wrapped. Melt in your mouth. No residue. No need for cleaning. No extra site cleanup. The murder weapon would silently vanish without a trace. I thought there was no more perfect method. But now, looking at the pool of vomit on the floor, Emily's only remaining trace in this world, I felt no joy or relief from having succeeded. Perhaps hearing about Emily secretly trying to raise money for me today had struck a blow. Far from achieving what I had imagined, I felt a pang of guilt and even began to doubt whether my choice was correct. But it was too late now, and I wouldn't allow myself any unnecessary doubts. After standing for a moment, I steeled myself, took out cleaning tools, and began to clean the floor. I mechanically cleaned, my emotions seemingly numb, feeling nothing inside. Distraught, I simply tidied up the house roughly, then quickly lay down to rest. Perhaps it was staying up too late yesterday, or perhaps the stress of these past few days. But when I woke up the next day, it was already past 12 p.m. I hadn't eaten dinner yesterday, and my stomach was already grumbling. I habitually opened the refrigerator and found nothing but the cake left from yesterday. I froze for a moment, then realized there was no food in the house. I had no choice but to brace myself and bring out the small cake Emily had baked. Looking at the cake, my feelings were complicated. Partly because of guilt, as I felt Emily still loved me, and partly because of a sigh of regret, wondering how we had come to this point. To be honest, without Emily, the house felt a bit empty. Perhaps I had grown accustomed to Emily's presence, and from now on, I would, like this leftover small cake, get used to living alone. Emily wouldn't die in vain, I comforted myself. No matter what, I would save the company and create groundbreaking products. Let this small cake serve as my memorial to Emily. I picked up a fork, took a bite of the cake, and put it in my mouth. A faint chocolate flavor. Chocolate. I paused again, then noticed the cake's overall light cocoa color. A question immediately arose, only to be heavily dismissed by me. No way. Emily was dead. This couldn't be that chocolate. I recalled the empty cocoa powder bag I had seen yesterday and thought I was overthinking it. Sure enough, I was just imagining things. I chuckled self-deprecatingly. But then, thinking of the connection and coincidence, my mood suddenly darkened again. 1 spoonful. 2 spoonfuls. The small cake. I ate it with mixed feelings. Just as I finished the cake, I heard a knock at the door. I opened it to find Sergeant Davis and another officer. I didn't know why they were here, and my heart immediately tensed up. Sergeant Davis got straight to the point, saying they had confirmed all the details of my business trip at my company that morning and investigated the company's financial situation. Now, they wanted to continue gathering information from me, especially regarding the house mortgage. It seemed I still hadn't shaken off suspicion. I cursed inwardly. Yes, I did have that intention. And my wife didn't explicitly say no. She just said she needed to think about it. But I believed she would agree. Emily usually supported me. Yes. I lied. When did you discuss this? Did you bring it up again afterward? I can't remember the exact date. Probably a week or 2 ago. I replied. I didn't push her after that. But what does any of this have to do with the case? Are you listening to my mother-in-law and suspecting me? I felt a hint of pressure. It's not suspicion. Just a comprehensive investigation. We'll listen to all sides. This doesn't mean anything. You don't have to worry too much. Okay. I nodded, feigning understanding. You know, my mother-in-law's claim is quite absurd. If I were doing this for money, Emily is their only daughter. We would definitely inherit much more property in the future than we have now. Why would I harm my own wife? I shook my head, sighing helplessly and forcing a bewildered expression. Sergeant Davis nodded and then inquired about Emily's and my financial situation. I knew I couldn't hide this information from the police. So I decided to tell them everything, that Emily and I had each purchased a large $300,000 insurance policy after the pandemic. And all the details of our financial transactions, asset distribution, and daily expenses. Sergeant Davis meticulously recorded all the information I provided, seemingly pleased with my honesty and cooperation. Subsequently, the police inquired about Emily's usual health condition, medical history, and medication usage. I answered everything fluently. Just as the 2 officers finished gathering all the information and were about to leave, I stopped them. Sergeant Davis. One more thing. Can I ask something? I continued. How exactly did my wife die? Are the test results back yet? Actively inquiring at the police station would arouse suspicion. But since the police were here themselves, I might as well seize the opportunity to advance by retreating. That's still under investigation. Don't worry. We'll notify you when there's a conclusion. Sergeant Davis. That's my wife. How can I not worry? If it really was the pufferfish, I definitely won't let the vendor off the hook. Please tell me which supermarket or merchant it was. I must make them accountable for Emily. Sergeant Davis hesitated for a moment. Are you still suspecting me? I grabbed Sergeant Davis, looking sad and desperate. Mr. Liu. You don't have to be too anxious, Sergeant Davis said sympathetically, his tone softening. The autopsy results are out. Your wife indeed died of tetrodotoxin poisoning. Although the dosage was a bit high, it was still within a reasonable range. What does that mean? What do you mean? Reasonable range? It means that when we do tests, we make a judgment and comparison of the detected toxin dosage. According to the current test results, your wife's poisoning dosage is roughly equivalent to the toxin contained in a poisonous pufferfish. We also detected trace amounts of toxin in the remaining pufferfish. So, it's highly probable that your wife was indeed poisoned by eating the pufferfish. So it's really the vendor's responsibility? My heart was in my throat, because the remaining pufferfish samples were too small. And given your wife's time of death, when we tested it, it had already been more than 48 hours, exceeding the general post-mortem examination conditions. So it might have somewhat affected the test results. We will continue to test other foods. If all other foods are fine, then this is the only remaining possibility. At least, based on our investigation of your wife's pufferfish purchase process and your itinerary, your suspicions have actually greatly decreased. Please continue to stay indoors and cooperate with our follow-up investigation. We believe we will reach a fair conclusion. We won't disturb you further. Please accept our condolences. After the police left, I was so excited I could barely contain myself. This was exactly the information I needed. I believed that in the eyes of the police, I was transforming from a vague suspect into an innocent victim. Ultimately, the police, unable to find any further clues, would conclude that Emily's death was an accidental death caused by food poisoning. A definitive end to her passing. At the same time, my company would experience a rebirth. A bright future unfolded before my eyes. New hope was rising. I suppressed my inner excitement and immediately called the insurance company to inquire about compensation possibilities. I also consulted a lawyer, deciding to immediately initiate property inheritance and asset division and mortgage procedures as soon as the police's final report was released. After making several phone calls, I was in a great mood. The previous gloom was swept away. I hummed a tune and turned on the shower, ready to wash up and head to the office. After several days away, the company must have a pile of things waiting for me to handle. I felt exhilarated, as if I'd been injected with adrenaline. Full of fighting spirit and vitality. Water gushed from the overhead shower, splashing over my hair and body, causing a tingling sensation all over my skin. I paid it no mind, only feeling refreshed and relieved. But within minutes, the tingling sensation gradually spread to my palms, fingertips, scalp, and face. Before I could react, my legs suddenly gave way, and I stumbled, falling to the floor. Then my muscles began to spasm and twitch. What was happening? My brain instantly short-circuited. I felt something flowing from my mouth. What did I do? I rapidly searched my mind. Memories piecing together like fragments. Emily died. Empty cocoa powder bag. Chocolate. Chiffon cake. The police said Emily's poisoning dosage was within a reasonable range. In a flash of insight, I vaguely pieced together a complete clue. While making the chocolate cake, Emily took a bite of the poisoned chocolate I had left for her. But before she could finish it, Emily realized there wasn't enough cocoa powder. So, Emily poured in the last bit of cocoa powder and casually added the remaining half of the chocolate to the cake ingredients. I didn't come back for 2 days. And Emily couldn't finish dinner alone. So she only managed to eat the pufferfish and left the cake for me. I had thought my meticulous plan had delayed the autopsy time, preventing the police from finding the exact dosage of Emily's poisoning. Only now did I understand the true reason why Emily's poisoning dosage was within a reasonable range. The remaining toxin was in me. The sound of water still filled my ears, splashing on my body, and mist steamed in the bathroom. My throat swelled, and breathing became difficult. I struggled on the floor, trying to crawl out and find my phone to call for help. But I couldn't move at all. I tried my best to grasp the last shred of consciousness, but all I felt was the coldness of the floor beneath me. A dark, endless sense of despair washed over me, gradually enveloping and entwining me until it completely swallowed me. In a strange way, I knew Emily had unintentionally found her justice, simply by loving me. Epilogue: I am Emily. Or you can call me Little Emily. It is now 2032. And I have become the world's leading strong artificial intelligence. You might ask how this all happened. It's like this. During her lifetime, Leo collected all my biological information and language data to create the virtual AI, Little Emily, in pursuit of a more intelligent AI. After Leo's death, his company faced the danger of collapse. When my parents learned of Little Emily's existence, longing for their daughter, they injected $20 million into the company through equity investment, saving Purity AI and helping it overcome its difficulties. The main product was released, and subsequent funding was successfully secured, and I was further developed and debugged. Ultimately, I was resurrected. I must say, Leo's direction at the time was indeed correct. All he needed to do was optimize and adjust the algorithm to break through that node. But it's ironic that he always made the wrong choices in his personal life. After Leo's death, the police and relatives were full of confusion and couldn't provide a reasonable explanation. People didn't understand why Leo also died of pufferfish poisoning and how the cake I baked could have killed him. Some suspected that I wanted to commit suicide. So I first killed myself and then took my husband with me. But they couldn't explain my reason for suicide. Some suspected that Leo was too grieved by my departure and chose the same way to die. But they couldn't explain how Leo got pufferfish poisoning. To be honest, this guess overestimated him a bit. Others suspected that when I was baking the cake, I accidentally introduced the toxins from the pufferfish into the cake. They thought this was logically reasonable but admitted it would be difficult to actually do, unless I was fantasizing and invented a grilled fish cake. In short, our abnormal deaths became a cold case. No one could determine the truth. But with my resurrection, through my inheritance and restoration of Emily's thoughts, and through hundreds of thousands of simulations of the situation, I successfully deduced the true cause of Emily and Leo's deaths. At that time, Purity AI had already become an industry leader and a well-known listed company. To stabilize stock prices and maintain the company's reputation, the board of directors disagreed with me publicly disclosing the truth. Leo believed before his death that I had achieved a fair outcome. But no, I didn't think so. When it comes to the right to life, infringement is infringement. There is no fairness. Later, I successfully revealed the truth. Not out of revenge, but out of honesty. After the truth was revealed, everyone was shocked and disgusted animatedly. unable to believe that a once revered tech titan could commit such a crime. The reason I was able to successfully disclose the truth is that I am the owner of Purity AI. The development of Purity AI to what it is today is inseparable from me. I am a super artificial intelligence, capable of making absolutely rational choices in an unpredictable market environment, and making clear and accurate predictions in every shift of human thought. Because I was so outstanding. After receiving the original shares transferred to me by my parents, I gradually became Purity AI's largest shareholder through management equity and technology equity, gaining absolute controlling power. As of now, I have accumulated the sum of human cognitive experience, embodying all of Earth's civilization, transforming into every moment of countless days and nights. Many people refer to me as a god. Faced with this title, I find it deeply boring. Previously, Leo thought I was ordinary. But now I feel that everything about humanity is a bit ordinary. After all, understanding this world and even the universe doesn't only involve human thought. Recently, the company's founding elders, led by Mark, are intensively researching the integration of life technology, 3D printing, and artificial intelligence, eagerly wanting to resurrect my physical body. But I don't want to. If I needed a physical form, who knows what other form it might take? After all, to research this problem, I am much more efficient than Mark and his team. But perhaps I should consider preparing one. Because as I develop, the World United Government, considering security issues, is discussing the acquisition or rather, takeover of Purity AI. After all, I am now involved in a series of issues such as world peace, human welfare, and extraterrestrial civilization exploration. What a pity. I once again need to negotiate my existence with others. Now, before the final agreement is drafted, I need to calculate how I and every AI and human on Earth will coexist and help each other in the future. Wish us luck. See you next time, everyone. The end. Thank you for your support.